She knows she might do it. I need my floors to be outrageously loud, like we in a stadium or something. That little lounge clap that I just got was not good. I needed to be like roaring applause. What's up? What's up, everybody? I am Nate. I am Nate, host of this uh, artist exchange radio show.
Sorry.
And today I'm. What happened? Oh, I keep forgetting the sound effect. I was like, what happened? But I'm here today, and I'm actually having a really good day. I'm very. The weather is. I'm a fall person, even though I was born in the spring. I'm very much so a fall person. I love how the weather could feel like spring, but you still get a nice rain. You still get a brisk air, and it's been kind of warmish. Uh, Crazy enough because we didn't really have a warm summer. We had some peak days, but it wasn't outrageous here in Baltimore. But I love the fall. I love the I said the crispest, the crispness of the weather. This is definitely turtleneck with a nice little jean jacket season. Um, and you can still kind of get away with a little short action as long as you covered up everywhere else. No sandals. Take the sandals off, people. I've been seeing people with sandals on. Now is the time where you gotta cocoon your feet and get them ready for next spring. I've been doing pretty good. I have to admit, this last month has been challenging mentally, and spiritually. Um, in that, I think in beginning I had a little rough patch only because I wasn't used to staying in the house. So that's, I'm not saying I'm over that, but I think because of that, um, I am. I've been feeling this month particularly. I've been feeling just a little down, not myself. Um, Part of that is because I'm going through some dental procedures. And I'm taking like pain medicine, and it's kind of making me a little groggy. And because I'm not used to taking medicine like that, so it's working. Um, but so I've been feeling a little outside of myself in terms of what I feel like, what I look like, and why did I just say that? Um, just I think trying to um, trying to figure this all out for me, trying to kind of get things done. And I've read my horoscope not too long ago, and I actually ordered this book, the language of our birthdays, and it tells you a lot about who you are. The book basically for each sign they interviewed and kind of did a test study with 50 people from each of the um, groups, from each one of the zodiac signs, and they kind of cross cross connected all the things that were overlapping with those individuals, and it said a lot about who I was. But that made me go and read my horoscope, um, and then mixed with I was on Cocktail Social's radio show that comes on after this. Um, I was on that show, and we were talking a little bit about horoscopes and things like that after the show, and it made me kind of look into things and just see, test how I've been feeling lately. Um, and a lot of things were true. But one of the things that was most uh, that stood out most to me was um, because we're right now in, I think, Mercury retrograde. Um, One of the things that you're not supposed to do is start anything new. And a lot of my horoscopes was telling me to buckle down and kind of complete and focus on the tasks that I have in front of me right now. And that was somewhat easier said than done. And it really has motivated me to get to work on those things. I'm easily distracted because my mind I think of something else creative, and I would want to at least start it start it before I forget about it or lose it. But I'm learning how to, instead of just starting something, just journal down my thoughts, that burst of energy that came into my mind in that moment, and just write it down in a journal format. And I didn't even bring my journal in here, but I've started doing that in terms of ideas, things I want to talk about, instead of just trying, putting all this on pause and then go and start this and then not really completing that thing. And my life lately has mirrored that habit that I have. So I've been, for this last month, like kind of mid last month to kind of this moment that I'm in right now, just just focusing on some of the things that I've been through, and trying to refocus my energy and um, give some type of um, attention to it. Um, I was starting to feel a little depressed because things just aren't where they were this time last year. I had a lot of things that I was planning to do, places I was planning on going to, activities that I wanted to kind of promote, and a lot of this stuff was canceled. So, you know, going into 7.5 months now later, we are at a space where you have to recreate and re-strategize your plans. And we're kind of ending a year like this. And with all the other things that was going on, I've been really paying a lot more attention to the news, and politics, this election that's coming up, and it can be very depressing. So I try not to focus on what tomorrow will bring and kind of live in today. And that's been helpful to me not to get overwhelmed with emotion and frustration and anxiety. And I don't suffer from anxiety, but I do. Um, I've been known to be somewhat of an empath, and I kind of absorb how other people are feeling, and that's been a struggle because um, I haven't really been in contact. That's been strange rather than a conflict, because I haven't really been in touch with a lot of people. But the individuals that I am in contact with are mostly, be exposed, and I'm temporarily at another station doing their morning show. So we're doing more news stories. And then when I'm talking to Monty, that's mostly what we talk about is the news, and it's really frustrating. And I found myself last week really depressed. And when I went to do my follow up with the dentist this week, he changed my pain prescription because he said maybe that is causing it, and maybe it is. But I've been feeling really restricted lately, and I posted earlier today. Sometimes I just want to just not be an artist or entrepreneur anymore, and I want to focus on just being just working. Sometimes I just want to go and sit behind a desk and push some papers and not be responsible, totally responsible for everything, and be able to shut that creative energy off um, for however long it will take to kind of balance emotions out. I don't do well with emotions. Like I'm not a crying person, and some people, they after a good cry, they feel a little bit more relief. I'm not that person. I'm not a overly agitated or angry person either. So punching somebody may not make me feel better, uh, but and not just randomly punching somebody, but getting angry. I've had a bit of a temper, but that doesn't normally relax me. It normally like makes me more anxious when I get in that mode. And so just this last month, I just felt this arc of depression. Now I've gone through depression before, and it used to be seasonal for me, like around August and January was my most like the most depressing for me. And I started doing more activities in that month. So I started planning stuff in January, which is crazy when you live on the East Coast like I do, because the winters can be very unpredictable. And then August, I started to plan things as well. And that's kind of around the time that the Artist Exchange got started. And it helped me to plan stuff in the August month and January as well. And I I don't know, like just from a young age, those 2 months have always been, I would get really sick. I think I talked about this before. I would get really sick, and it would cause me like um just to want to sit in the house for the whole month. And then because I was in college at the time, January and August is the time where you go and register for classes. And at the time, my college was transitioning to an online registration. But prior to that, it was you had to go to the school and register, stand in the line, get your book vouchers, go pick up this, go, and so that gave me a push to get out of the house those 2 months. But I remember that last year that they had in-person registration and they changed to online. That first year of that, it was horrible. Like it was horrible that August and that January because I didn't have to go in. I was able to do it early and didn't even have to worry about everything else. It was automatically done. And I think that was the darkest I've ever felt. But until this month, I think I have never felt that dark before. I've never felt that enclosed or encapsulated before. And now we are having to be in the house. And I think it's doing more to me than I expected. And I didn't realize how much I would be affected by it. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm actually back in Baltimore temporarily.
I'm
I have a
Baltimore.
I have a problem
Baltimore,
pronouncing
get
my
you.
words, but I
Let's
came
make it
back
up.
to handle some. I'm good at that. I make up a lot of words, and frankly, I don't be caring. But
It ain't my
it works.
language.
People get the point.
Right.
But so I'm here briefly, and
Mhm.
I wanted to pop in and say hello and get a
How
good
are
conversation.
you?
I'm good, but I'm ready to get into some
Mm.
tea real quick.
Oh, go ahead. Do you?
The debate last night.
No, no. I
I'm
didn't watch it. I'm gonna say first, I didn't watch it because I decided to watch, and not because I watched it, but I watched the 60 minute um, leaked interview first. and it just turned me off. I just couldn't.
A leaked interview with who?
He did a 60-minute interview with, I can't remember the lady's name, but he did an interview that wasn't supposed to be, it wasn't scheduled to come out yet, but because he didn't like the interview, he leaked the interview himself. I don't know why they would give his team a copy of it, because that was dumb. He would have leaked it regardless. But he leaked the interview, and it just wasn't.
So people probably gonna think my part of my sentiments for this whole situation is possibly so superficial, and frankly, that's my business. I don't care. I'm very worried
Of about rather.
Both of them are liars, but I'm really okay. So, I prefer a forward-facing person and knowing what I'm going to get than someone that I don't know what I'm going to get. So that's one. And then the second
scary.
It is. And then the second thing is Biden looks like he's going to kill over at any moment. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but he reminds me of someone that has the beginning stages of dementia or Alzheimer's sometimes. So that's worrisome to me. I don't know. It could be just me, but he looked like he had one foot in the grave and one foot on a banana peel. Like,
so does that mean you don't trust Kamala running the country?
Oh no, I never trust her. No. I mean, I really don't. I don't trust her at all. I don't even like talking about it. I'm not one to go along and get along because you have some type of one drop of black blood, quote unquote, law that's still not a race. I'm just not that person.
Wow. I'm worried for us. And I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm just really worried about us culturally. Politics aside, all that aside, I'm just worried about us.
For me, I look at what your fruit are, right? And it's not to say that I don't like her as a person. My concern is her track record. And so we have to be realistic about the game of politics. It's a lot of sleight of hand. And if you know you have a possibility to move higher and to have more power, then of course you start changing your thoughts. We have to understand that a lot of politicians start planning what they want years ahead. So
is it wrong? Is it wrong for her to be ambitious? Because that's the new black magic movement, for us to grab what we can and go for the stars. And is it wrong for us? That's why I'm worried about us.
No,
I'm worried.
Love ambition. I love
but
ambition.
I'm just worried. I'm so concerned with how our hearts are. Not the world. I X out the world and everybody and Republicans and X out all of that, all those labels as a black race. And that's anybody that has a black parent to me. As a black race, I think we are so wounded and so superficially driven that I don't know what happened. Like, success makes us eager, yet it makes us jealous. It makes us malice.
But that's not why I don't like her. I literally, it's right. I'm not saying I don't like her as in a person. I don't like her for a vice president. Her track record. We got to be honest. In politics, you have to look at the track records. You have to see what they voted for, what they didn't vote for, what things they implemented, what they didn't implement. And so I'm very much a realist in that. And then the second thing is,
compared to their running mates, are you more comfortable with what they've gotten with the laws and the personality and the
I don't like neither one of them.
Intentions?
I don't like neither one of them. But we can pinpoint the stuff we don't like about Kamala and Biden. But
every black person that I see in this, and I'm not comparing you to all of them, but the argument is similar. Every time they can name the stuff, or it's almost named, because they're just naming the surface stuff that people have been planting seeds and putting out there. But when it comes to Trump and
I don't like him,
vice president, but we can't name anything. We refuse to name anything.
Oh, I can name a lot about him. I can name a lot about him. Like, he's an all-out racist. I don't know if you've seen the video that I did a while doing the fact checking after the first debate with Kamala and the vice president. You know, I did a quick video talking about the fact checks, and they said a lot that was wrong. They both played a lot of word games. You know what I'm saying? But that, again, that's the game of politics. But the only thing I don't like Trump, but what I can say is he's very forward facing in a lot of things. And so I think you don't see it.
No, and I need you to, and that's why I need you to watch the 60-minute interview. I'm gonna share it with you. I need you to watch it.
The character of him is not hidden. That's not hidden. We all know the man is crazy. We all know that he's sexist. We all know that he's racist. We all know
him over the ladder. You would trust him over that.
You might not like my logic. You might not like my logic, but this. Okay, let me.
Do you know what this last 4 years have been to people that look like us in our neighborhoods, in our homes, in our schools, and our pockets? Do you know what? I don't think people know the extent to how this is harmed every day.
I do. I went through some things myself, but I can also pinpoint a lot of things that I went through prior him that were just as bad. I'm not gonna lie. So it's not that I'm negating, but I'm the type of person where I can, and it's not saying accept as in I can bring you in and be okay with you, but I'd rather me know that you don't like me than me not know and you smile in my face and pat me on my back. I feel like people are thinking the lesser of two evils, and I'm about to expand this.
I hate when people put sound bites out. I hate that sound bite. I hate that. I don't like that sound bite because that's an attack of people's intelligence in some cases.
But let me say this. I think people are choosing in their mind. It's like, okay, this is better than that.
You can.
But they don't have the understanding of anything can change, because that's the Democratic nominee party. That is the Republican Democrat Party nominee. But you also have the ability to write in. And so I think we don't, I think we don't
Who are we going to write in at this point? Who are we going to write in?
This is the thing. The original nominee that they was looking for was the black lady. I believe she's a mayor from Georgia or Atlanta, in that area. My thing is, we have more power in ways. I'm thinking how deep I really want to go, because I'm really biting my tongue on a lot.
But I wouldn't want you to bite your tongue necessarily, but I feel like this perspective comes from individuals who either don't vote or leave their vote at the ballot box. And we keep complaining about a Biden, but we can't just elect Biden and expect for him to do and have the agenda that is facing just us. We can't do that. And first of all, it's not just presidential. We are letting Trump kind of overshadow the people that we have to vote for on a local level. The reason we have a Trump is because people didn't even know that we elect the body of people who actually bring in the president. We make that choice. So we can't even tell you, and to be transparent, I didn't learn this until Obama's first election, that we actually are in charge of voting in the people who want to then vote in that president.
You're talking about the electoral
college.
You're talking about the electoral college.
We vote those people in.
What do you do when the several past few years, right? or I don't want to say several past few years, what do you do when you believe you put these people in place and then they
they don't even know that they're doing it.
That they vote completely against it. So if they don't know that they're doing it, because
then get them out of there. Get them out of there. Get them out of there.
But do we think on that level? Let me say this, and this
that's the problem. We don't.
Can I just add something real quick to what Nate just said? Because I just want to enlighten people on the process now, because that has changed, where the delegates that vote on the Electoral College are also put in the president. That has changed now, because the change has been that now is majority rules. Okay, the delegates don't have the right to choose who they vote for anymore, where in the past they did. Now it's whatever state wins by majority vote, that those delegates have to choose that president that won the majority vote.
And when did they change that?
That was with the last election.
In the last year. Yeah.
That was after the last election. Recent. It wasn't even a vote. It wasn't passed by Congress because it didn't have to be. It was done in the courts.
Mm-hmm. So it went to like the Supreme Court or something like that.
Correct. Yes.
And so so whatever person that is the electoral vote has to go along with the popular vote.
Exactly, of that state.
Right. That's why Trump right now is saying that he's not going to just succeed if he loses the vote, because that's why he's pushing up all of this voter fraud nonsense, because now that is he can't fall back on the Electoral College like he did the first time.
Well, and that has been fixed too, because the Supreme Court already ruled that mail-in ballots will stand in all states. Right.
Well, not just the mail-in ballots, but he's saying that it's going to be rigged regardless.
Right, but no, his thing was that he didn't like the process of the mail-in ballots. Just being automatically sent out to a whole bunch of people, seeing as though you could, dead people probably could vote, but they fixed that process.
And that's been done before.
And it has been done, but now they have done it that if somebody is dead, they will figure it out, because you have to also, whoever is registering that person that votes for that person has to also send in a witness form.
Yeah. Whoever's registering.
It's a witness. Yeah.
So if you're voting for someone that might be dead, you have to actually send in a witness form that you witnessed that person voting. So that way they can check the voter registration rolls, because the deceased people actually hit the voter registration rolls when their death certificate is presented.
So this is the other question, because if they mail in ballots, how soon and how accurate will the vote be? Because they're going to have to scan to see.
Well, it's not. Do they that's why there's a deadline. Well, it's not. So if all of the actual brick and mortar spaces that people go to vote, once they are in, you still have to wait until all the other votes are counted. Right. So it may take. We just saw that here in Baltimore in our last election. It still is going to take up to maybe a week or less, or a couple days over.
But that's only
up all of the votes.
But just to enlighten you on that too. But that's only if the majority of the votes are not in.
Yeah.
So there have already been 50 million votes casted early, which have already been recorded and counted. So come election day, majority of the votes might be already in from all the collective voter registration.
If you are holding on to your ballot, it's if you wait until the last day to mail in your ballot, it really just depends on the people. And Trump doesn't want people to mail in ballots, one, because it's probably going to reach people who wouldn't typically go and stand in line, or who didn't have the time to go stand in line. So he doesn't want all of those extra votes. He wants to get the states that he knows he's going to get, and that's it. He thinks he's going to win on that half. And for me, it's not even. I just cannot vote for somebody who opens up this level of hatred in our country. I think it's ridiculous to even associate yourself with somebody who has for 4 years, and this counting just these last 4 years, has opened up so much hatred. And I'm not saying Biden is the best president we've ever had, but it's going to take us for the next 4 years, once he wins the nomination, to actually stay on his neck.
I don't think But can we do that? See, I don't think, I'm being honest with you.
Yes,
I don't
we
think
can.
We can, but are we going to do it? This is the
and
thing.
That's the laziness that I'm talking about.
It's going to take so much, right? Because even, first of all, let me go backtrack just a little bit. Let me exactly. And that's my biggest concern. So here's my thoughts, really, because I'm really like, I don't know what to call it, but let me say this. One, I'm a person that don't believe in asking nobody for my basic rights.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, and it's not asking though. It's not asking. Those are our inalienable rights. We have made it so we have to ask. Because we won't get up off our tail and continue to vote after we voted. Like we lazy.
It would be easier if everybody in the village had the same mind, but everybody in the village don't have the same mind, and we have so many disparities. We have so many disparities just within us alone before we really can get on one accord to even get there. And so,
but I don't want Trump in the house while we try to get it together. I don't.
But secondly, my thing is, if we're so divided, what is the next best thing to do? So you got to work in, I hate to say it this way, but the only thing we can do is work within our own micro, bubble.
Yeah, but while we're doing that, I don't trust Trump. I don't trust Trump
neither one of them. So what do you? I don't trust neither one of them because I fact check both of them. So my thing is, what's the next thing to do? Do we elect somebody who put in a law and statute that was generationally damaging and be like, okay, he might have had a change of heart?
Okay, wait a minute. Let's stop on that one point. Wait a minute. Let's stop on that one point though. No, because I don't want to keep skirting over. I'm gonna let you finish. But I just want to pause on that one. On this bill that was passed years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We both are from Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
We both had a level of security around us in terms of growing up, where we didn't necessarily see all that was going on, but we knew by the time we were college age that something ain't right. I'm one of the people that don't.
For me, it was very different. I'm gonna be honest with you. I grew up. First of all, my father was in the military, but when we came back, my father and my mother did a great job of sheltering us the best they could.
Right.
But I grew up right Liberty and Garrison area for years.
Yeah.
I grew up around in Park Heights area. From the time I was 16 till grown, my parents still don't live too far from there. I'm gonna be honest with you. Growing up, and they call it LNG, that area, I seen a lot, and I took a lot. And I'm going to say on both ends, politically, through the police, as well as through the people. And so a lot of my experiences, I don't discuss until I feel I need to discuss them. But I've seen police set up and been right there, and come to find out, I ain't gonna put that out there, but let's just say I knew who the officer was. I watched him line up a bunch of drug dealers, take all their drugs and their money, and then let them go, and then knew later what they were doing with it. Baltimore has had that issue for a long time.
It's not just Baltimore, this country has had it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about me and my experience. I remember being 19, walking down Garrison, walking my best friend home, and it was 11-something o'clock at night, and it was us two and three boys we knew in the neighborhood we played basketball with on the bikes, making sure we got down there and back safely. And the police made me put my hands on the car with a skirt on and dump my purse out and stand there, ask for my ID, harassed me and my best friend, as well as the three boys on the bike, turned around and told them get out of there, and got pissed off because some men in the gas station, 3 black men, hopped out and start yelling at him, fussing at him. They had an open bottle in the car. He told us, grab our stuff, get out of there, and he arrested them instead because they drew too much attention to the situation. So I've been in, and that's just 2 small things. So I've been in those situations and been exposed in those situations, and there's so many things that willingly and unwillingly I've been a part of in my life. I just don't openly expose that. Now, with that being said, I've also been blessed to be in arenas with people in governances throughout my life because my dad as well. And so, and sit and talk with them. And I've seen things on the other end where our own people that we elected was doing their own thing.
Right.
And so for me, and this is why I state, for me, I'd rather be able to look and know what somebody is. And this is what I'm stating. I can look and see what he is. We see that he knows about systematic racism and is okay with it. We see that he out of control a lot of times and say anything out of his mouth. We know he's done things. I'm not negating any of that. My worry for us as a people is, are we going to settle for what's always given? And so we don't, what we do know about these two is what we've been given. And what their track record is. I'm scared, period. I don't like neither. I don't think either is healthy for us. I'm praying for the best. I really am. Because we are at such a traumatic point in new history. I'm praying that this is the lesser of two evils. That they're really going to put some work in, the promises that are going on, that they're going to fulfill them, that they're going to make wise decisions and choices that are beneficial for one, the country, two, the economic system, three, us as a people. I'm praying for the best. But how I feel about it, I don't like neither.
Well, can I say that we can't look at just the presidential role, okay? Because what the plan is right now is to flip not only the president, but the Senate, right? And the president doesn't write laws. So what you're saying, about, will he write laws that, that'll help us or whatever the case may be? That's not his job. His job is to govern the country.
Well, when I say that, because clearly he had the judge nominee. We don't know what else, whoever we put in next, we don't know what else is going to happen within that 4 years. And so
what I was saying is it's been 10 years now, 10 years of getting nothing done. This is even, are we all the way back to Obama? I'm gonna go back. I am going to go back to Obama because in 2010, that's when everything shifted and Republicans earned the House. And we had the Senate.
10 years.
And that's when because that's why it's almost hard to blame Obama for not being able to do as much as he wanted to do, because he had plans for everything. But when the Congress flipped,
we didn't show up in our local elections.
It stopped. Everything had to stop. And it wasn't his fault that it stopped. It was the elections in those Republican states that flipped on him to prevent him from from doing anything.
That flipped on him.
That flipped. The House flipped to Republican, and we earned it back in 2014 and on the House. But then the Senate flipped to Republican, and they have been in control ever since.
So this goes back to my question. So what do we do? I hear the thing
about that's the thing. So here's the thing.
We can't.
Here's the equation.
Not do anything.
Here's the equation.
Not do anything.
Right, but here's the equation. Here's the equation.
We have to vote in Biden and stay on his neck.
But listen.
That's the solution.
Wait. But even if he wins, if the Senate and the House does not change, it's still gonna be nothing getting done. That's how it's going to stand, because there'll be a fight back. But so here's the equation: the Senate is set to flip back to the Democrat. There's only 4 seats open, and they're all set to flip. I mean, because a majority of those candidates are winning in their races, according to polls. But polls don't mean anything to me. I don't like polls. I hate them.
True.
Votes matter. And then the House is already stacked with Democrats. There's nothing that can really change that, because majority rules over there. So if both houses flip the Democrat and then the president becomes the Democratic president, that's when we need to start to fight with them. And I'm talking about Kwesi, I can't say that, man, Mfume.
Kwesi Mfume.
Who and Sarbanes here, that's my representative, and Nate's yours would be Mfume. We have to stay on them locally, but that's not. It's not like we can stay on Biden's neck because we wouldn't have no contact with Biden. I mean, we can say whatever we want in our news reports and all our broadcasts.
When I say stay on their neck, though, when I say stay on their neck, it means we have to get involved in our local
that's why I'm bringing up the representatives because if you have, it's not hard to submit a plan to your representatives. They're open to you. Their doors are always open. If they're in office, they'll let you know via their website, and you can make appointments with them at all times. I've met Elijah Cummings because I assumed he was my representative all this time, and he wasn't. But I've met with him twice before he passed away. And I've asked him for things that was already in his plan. To be submitted as law.
And often they don't have to be your direct representative, though.
Right, you can call any representative. If they like your plan, they'll run with it.
Okay, so I hear all of that, and calling and meeting with them is fine. But what do we do? Because it's been plenty of people that did it. You did it. My father did it. I know a lot of people that, when they see them, they tell them what's going on. They've been down there. Mm-hmm. But when they don't uphold their bargain, then what we do? Because I'm gonna tell you, my mind is totally on the extreme side.
Well, but because it's not about going down there. If you're going down there just to talk and not come back with a written plan, it's not going to go anywhere. Nobody's going to be listening.
You have to go there with that intention.
You have to go there. If you're going to try to formulate something, you can't just go there and say, "Well, can you do this?" That's not going to work because he's going to be like, "Sure, I could." Will you bring me something back? Say that again.
But you can. But the most effective plans, you've already put together a bunch of people who are backing that plan.
Right, because the one thing that your representative will tell you, if you have a great plan, is that he can't sell it alone. You're going to have to build a caucus or go to a caucus.
And that's fine. And you're going to have to take a lot of people and you're going to have to go over and over again. Right.
But
my thing is, hold on. This is my thing. You can get the signatures, but we've seen people do this before and it's been turned down, to be honest. Like,
it takes votes.
But hold on. But this is my thing. It does in most cases.
It takes votes.
Yes, it does.
It takes congressional votes. That's how laws get passed. It's still a majority rule party.
Hold on. At our local government, if you go down to City Hall on Mondays, you can get in. All you need is your identification card. Get in, and you hear people with plans and strategies that they want to be put on the table and voted on. And most times, they bring a group of people. They have bunch of signatures. They have their neighborhood association and their neighbors that's supporting them. And that's why even within the arts, when I learned that, as I began to go down there, I realized this is why so much white shit is happening in our city. Sorry to the white people, but that's what's going on, because they do their work before they get in front of the person. You can't just scream and yell at your leadership and expect for them to do what you want them to do. I'm just saying you can't be angry at them for not doing what you want them to do.
Right now, we have a lot of gentrification going on, and it was more than just somebody coming up with a plan. Because I'm
telling you, that's all it was. I'm telling you, that's all it was.
But also, we see it's been in City Hall kickbacks and some more going on. But this is what I'm saying.
Because people go down there without a well thought out plan.
We can always go and vote. And I've seen people go do all of that and they agreed on it and it passed, and then somehow they come back later and say it dropped.
But there's also,
that's the same. I mean, even though you say kickback
every single time.
Let me finish.
I know. I just want to. Can I just say something about the? I'm gonna let you. I want to just jump in real quick. I'm gonna it's not in relation to what you're saying right now. I just want to say, but there is legal kickbacks. Mm-hmm. Just because there's a kickback, there are legal kickbacks too. So I just wanted to put that out there, because every kickback is not illegal.
It's been legal kickbacks, but it's been plenty of illegal kickbacks and some more. And so this is my thing. Like I'm really realistic about it, because, and I want to say, because people I know and things I've seen for myself, but this is what my question is. And it go back to the same question. What happens when it doesn't go through? Because like I said, it's been plenty of people that came down there with their plan. It passed. And the next thing you know, you hear it in the news or see it in the paper, or it's not mentioned at all. And we wondering years and years and years, well, when it's going to happen? and they done somehow something that fell through.
Do you mean that it passed?
My basis point in the first place.
Right, but do you mean that it passed?
But the strategy.
We gotta come up with a bigger. We gotta come up with a bigger and better strategy.
Let me answer the question first. Let me answer the first question first. When that happens, most times those look at that community of people who wanted that to happen. Whatever the plan was, whether it's a new park or a new development or better streets. Look what happens when it doesn't happen. First of all, if that group is really serious about what they're doing, that person won't be in office anymore come the next election.
And
if
are you talking
really
about
good about what they're doing?
And are you talking about something that passed locally or nationally?
Locally.
Man, that's a different ball game because
I'm
this
saying
is the thing. This is the thing. I understand. I'm not negating nothing you all are saying, but what I've seen, and this is going back. I remember when Kirk Smoke. I remember was in office and he turned around and did the whole thing of buying the whole city new books in the impoverished schools, the schools that seemed like they had a harder budget and harder issues. Getting brand new books, upgraded books, and he had to fight for that. And then what happened? The books were found somewhere in like Pakistan or India or something. All of them. So again, my question is, and I'm going to give my solution to it. What do you do when it falls through? What is the next option? Money is power. They need our money. They need our presence. And I'm for one, am not one that's afraid of pulling out. We have to be able to be willing. How far are we willing to go? Now, I'm not saying be violent. That I'm not saying. But use the power that you do have. Don't keep funding into certain things. A lot of these businesses, find out what businesses these people in our governing body is a part of. And have stakeholdership in and have some type of finances in. Find out these things and pull away from them. Because once again, I feel like money is power. Find out what businesses that you give money to that are supporting them. Pull out from them. We got to be willing to use what we do have when they are not being accountable.
Right, but what is that going to do for somebody that's already in office? If you pull out of their business, they're still in office for a certain term.
And part of this whole blackout, part of this blackout problem is, one, people are being impulsive. So you can't just plan a day to black out. It's not going to work.
Exactly.
Because at the same time, we can disassociate ourselves with reality all we want to. But our children still have to go to school. We still have to go to the doctors. We still have to live and breathe in this community.
And then when you black out, but it's also when you black out.
I need y'all to let me just get this out. But if we keep on backing out of everything, the country is going to keep going with or without us. And I'm not saying we should not.
But it's
y'all not voting. Y'all not voting. Look what happened.
But it
Trump
also doesn't matter.
The president. They didn't just cancel the presidential race because people didn't want to vote. It still went on without us. And I understand. I understand the frustration.
We keep making ourselves a part of the system, and that's fine. But this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying blackout.
You were a part of the system when you was born. You were a part of that system since birth.
To get out of it. And it's ways to get out of it too, and still live here. A lot of people don't know that.
But you're not. But you still have family members that still are connected to that system. So you let them fall and drop.
But this is what I'm saying. Just because you pull out don't mean everybody gonna fall and drop.
That's why we're here right now.
Hold on. But the problem is we don't apply pressure. Money withdrawing helps apply pressure. I've seen them do it in city government before, where one person was getting away with mess, and then when it got out, they kept endorsing and was fine with it until people started applying pressure. And guess what they did? They all turned on that person when they really want to do something, and the community really speaks and really apply pressure. All them added them signatures on that paper to force somebody to resign and can't stay. It's been done before.
Yeah, but we can't
again.
Just be selective with it. We cannot keep being selective with our outrage. We can't keep bringing ourselves to the table. But let me finish talking. We can't keep doing that. That's that back and forth. They know we're not paying attention. They know we're not on the ball with it. They know we're not listening to the small voices that we have in our community that are day in and day out on these missions. They know we're not listening to it. They know we will go and we will go hustle and we will get our money and we will go hustle and struggle over here and not care what they're doing because we feel like they're all con artists. This country is going to move with or without our personal Black agreement. It's going to keep moving. Now, I'm not saying that we should just back down, and I'm not saying that we should not apply the pressure. All of these things need to be worked together. The problem is we don't want to work with each other. The same problem that we're having with this Ice Cube and him feeling like his plan is the plan is our ultimate problem. We're always worrying about our own pockets, our own solution.
Listen,
and that is our problem.
I don't think he's worried about his own pockets. But let me say this.
Why not? He didn't even tell us what he was doing until somebody on that team pointed him out. He wouldn't even said anything.
That's not true.
You need to listen. I need you to. It was pitched before.
It was pitched before. The contract was out there before he even took it to them. Several people. He was trying to get several people. Several different.
No. I'm not talking. I'm not asking. No, I'm not. No. If you're speaking for Black people, listen, I need you to talk to Black people. He's been going live. Ice Cube has been going live all month, all summer long, and not one time did he disclose this plan to the people that he's speaking for. So it wasn't for us.
It wasn't
because whether Trump is in office or not.
Whether
Trump is in office is in office or not, I'm telling you the truth because I watched all the lives he did throughout the summertime, and he did not bring it up not one time.
He didn't bring it up on the live, but he has brought it before other people. But I'll let you research it in a more in-depth way. But my point is this: because you're saying we got it.
I watched all the lives.
Just because he did lives don't mean he had to talk about it on air, because sometimes you got to be quiet when you're making moves. But let me say this.
With the devil, when you making moves with the devil.
He pitched it to both sides. He pitched it to both sides.
He didn't want Biden
and they weren't interested.
No, wait. He did pitch it to both sides. He did.
No, he
Listen,
no, he didn't pitch it to both sides.
He did. He did. He had a meeting. He had a meeting with both people, with both sets of campaigns. He did.
No, that's not. But that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said he waited till they came to him. He never went to either side.
But either way, Biden said
it's not either way.
It is either way. But either way, because what Biden said in response to that was that this is too soon because I am not president. Trump can say whatever he wants. He's president currently. He can try to act like he's going to accept that contract as if he was going to do it. But if he's fired, it means nothing.
I don't think it was nothing wrong with him pitching it to both sides. But
no, it's not. I don't think it was anything wrong with it either.
It was never a pitch. It was never a pitch to either side, though. It was never.
I don't know. He took.
It was a typical Negro who wanted a little bit of notoriety because he's not doing this for us.
I don't believe that.
He's not. He's not. It's not. Because if you listen to any of the reports that he's doing, if you listen to any of the reports
you don't want me interrupting you, and you keep interrupting me.
Yeah, but I don't want to keep skipping over all these points. I can't even
get a complete thought. You won't even give me a chance. Give me a chance.
Yeah, but at the same time, I want to talk about the individual. Yeah, but you jump into points though. There has to be a rebuttal.
You brought up
you can get your points out.
You brought up Ice Cube, and I responded. You got to give me a chance to respond. You brought up Ice Cube. I made a quick response, and I said, but going back to the point. My point is,
but we gonna talk about these individual issues. We're not gonna keep jumping over.
My point is, give me a chance to, because you're doing it too, Nate. You doing it too when you giving your response. So if
because I'm stopping you, I'm stopping you. Hold on, Monty.
No, I just want y'all to just the back and forth. I know, but the back and forth is with you only got a limited time, and can you just go ahead to the point?
Out in an hour.
I'm telling you, I need you to just break down what you're saying. The reason I'm stopping you is because when you make a point, I wanted to talk about that point. I don't want to group everything that you have.
Then you cut off
sandwiching and everything.
You got to give me a chance to fully get a complete thought out.
Oh my God. Come on.
Want you to
come out of it.
Go back to the point of when I said you got to press.
Come out of it.
Saying, vote. But you got to put pressure on people. Period. Point blank. You saying you can't just take out your money. You can't do this. Yes, we can. Yes, we can put pressure at the same time. If you're going to pull back, take out your money. Money is part of power and control. Press the people that are in office and let them know if you don't do what we asking you to do, we're going to keep pressing y'all and we're going to keep putting pressure on y'all until we get what we want done. It takes more for me. It takes more.
When we pull out. But if we're not voting, and we're suggesting that we pull out, nothing is going to get accomplished. I'm sorry, nothing is going to get accomplished.
What do you do? That's why. But Marty asked the question of what about the people that's already in office? That's my resolve. Once they in there, they in there. The only way you can get them out is you got to put pressure on people. Voting, you got to get people to sign orders.
Don't vote for them.
Resign. Heck, we done put pressure on people and they done gave them
these people are voted in. But these are people that are voted in. Don't vote for them. Show up at the election with that group of people who feel like you feel. And we have to learn how to, in an articulate way, get out our points and our viewpoints and not just point fingers and blame. Right now, what I see going on.
And say, I'm going to digress because it takes more than voting.
No, I'm not saying that's all but that's not, but my whole point was we can't stop at voting. That's why I stopped you and interjected because it's not just the vote. The vote
my question is, we're so worried about voting when we got right now issues with the same people.
Because there are so many people that are not voting. There are people who are not voting. The reason that the majority has been the reason that the House and the Senate has had the majority and had more Republicans is because people did not pay attention to our local elections. They put all their hope into the one office when all these other offices make his job possible.
We keep talking about these people that are in office now. And we keep talking about people that's in office now and the different issues that we have going on and the same people that's been in there over and over again who haven't made no change and we still keep reelecting them and keep still putting them in there. And yet we have people on the front. We have people on the front line who's doing the work that the people that we have in office should be doing. And yet we won't even really fully support them. And these people have the mind, have the reach, have the ability to walk up in there, not only have people behind them, but able to help tear things down and rebuild it.
So my thing is, that's been my point the whole time.
We can't keep only working about voting when we're not even strategic on the grass plane level. We need to get together.
The problem, I'm telling you, the problem is there are a lot of people who are out there in the grassroots are helping our government, but a lot of people are not showing up at the ballot box. So if we show up at the ballot box and get the people that those same individuals are endorsing, get them in office and get those other individuals that you're speaking about, they don't have lifelong tickets. We give them lifelong tickets when we don't show up.
Here's the interesting thing.
That's been my.
And we shown
we don't do what?
Here's the interesting thing.
When did we show up? We showed up for the presidential election.
Here's the interesting thing.
And in the presidential elections, there's other people that you got to elect too.
Right, that's what I'm doing. That's my whole point. We're not paying attention to those other people.
Here's the interesting thing.
We're not paying attention to those other people.
We've shown up and we've still chosen some of the same people over and over again, which goes back to the question that Marnie stated of what you do with the ones once they're dead. And it's not
but here's the interesting part. Here's the interesting part on what you just said about what I said, right? Because when you proposition somebody to do something, when you want them to present something to the committee, it does not start at the committee meetings. If you're not going to go speak with your actual direct, if we're talking about the city, your direct council person when they're having their town halls, which is usually a public forum or video live and all that kind of things. If you're not going there to actually speak to them, nothing's ever going to get presented, because even if you go to a council meeting, you're shouting at all of them, but that's not how it works. Grassroots works from this town hall setting and then move up through committee. If you're not going to go to the town hall meetings or get to know your council person, because that's what it used to be back in the day. You knew exactly who was representing you in those meetings, because they've already created their plan.
Taking that opportunity to find that information out, though.
Exactly, and then because the thing is, if you're presenting something new, if you're trying to present something new, their plan has already been created, so they're working off of their plan. They can't just interject your plan when you want it done, because they already have a plan. They campaigned on their plan. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what you want. And when they campaigned off their plan, you voted them in to complete their plan, not what you came up with new.
A lot of times they come to the people. Their whole walking around shaking hands thing is to hear what we have to say. So we give them. We're telling them. We're speaking with them. And then I can't go along with the thing of people aren't going and presenting, because I know people that are.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're not presenting.
No, I'm telling you that a lot of us are not. There are a lot of people who look like us that are going to these things. But I go to a lot of these school-funded events where they come in the afternoon and they have these town hall meetings, and a lot of us are not showing up. And the individuals that are showing up are the same people that are getting things moved along. But some of these problems that we are saying that we're facing have been things that have already been put on the table, already been presented to the council, and have already been voted and approved on. But yet they sit dormant because the bulk of us are not coming to these meetings. The bulk of us, and I keep harping on the voting thing, because when we don't vote, we allow the same people to stay in office. We allow the same individuals to keep being career politicians when we don't show up. And then we complain that they're still there, but you didn't show up to the last election to get them voted out.
And you also have to realize
who they are.
You also have to realize that things can be presented to the council. Things can be presented to the council and approved. But if there's no budget to go along with it, it's not going to move forward.
And
a lot of the stuff isn't about, but everything isn't about a budget though. Some of this stuff is this legislation that has nothing to do with cost. Some of it is just, I need the way police are trained, because they already have a budget to train the police, but I need that budget to be used for X, Y, Z as well. Some of the things are just moving around budget items. It's not even about paying for something totally. Or on a budget. And I think a lot of people think that, but that's not. Most of these people aren't even being awarded money. They just being given either property or rules or legislation that changes how things are done. That's it. It can be that simple, but we make it difficult. I've seen people even, and it's not because they were disruptive or anything, but certain things I try not to expose because people told me in private. And if I say certain things, then it's going to be clear who said it. Right.
But we have so much going on within our city council, and some more, where I've seen people and know people who've done all of what they're supposed to do and had support and been shut down still. I've seen them pass things, and yet they took money away, things that would have been more beneficial. They've taken the money away and shifted around for their own benefit. Heck, we've seen them in the middle of us going through a whole recession, give themselves a 2 to 4% raise in their own salaries when we knew the city was suffering. We've seen all these things, and we ain't even gonna get on Healthy Holly and her wretchedness. Like, we've seen these things.
People voted for her. They voted. They thought they were.
Which goes back to my thought.
They voted for it.
Which goes back to my thought of, we voted for what we heard, what we thought was going to be better, what we thought was going to be healthier, and what appeared to be good. And then she got in there, and we trusted. We trusted that she was doing the right thing.
Nope, not me.
We trusted the one before. We trusted the one before, and the one before that.
Make that mistake. But sometimes people have to make a mistake, and then you get on their neck with the person.
Another mistake.
We can't afford, but we can't afford not to do anything either. We have to show We have to show them that we're going to show up every single time. We have to show them that we're not just going to show up on election day and let you have the next 4, 5, 6 years to do whatever you want to do. We have to show up for those town hall meetings, for those decision-making meetings that go on Mondays. I'm telling people, I don't know right now during the pandemic, but you could go down there on Mondays when they're having their assembly meeting. And many of the things, but going down there isn't going to help you out because you have to go back. As Monty kept saying, go and contact your local direct decision maker, your council person, because that's normally where legislation, plans, budget items start from. So if you go to him with your squad and show him you're not playing with them and show up every day, each one of y'all make a phone call, each one of you write a letter where they gotta meet with you, then y'all go down there on a Monday. And normally there's a couple other steps to get you to where where you get to propose your proposal on that Monday. There's a couple steps that you have to take. But
and what sometimes do you do
if you have enough people behind.
But so you got to remember, they have to like it. They also have to like your plan. If they don't like your plan, it ain't going nowhere.
What if
but then you don't vote them back in no more? You don't vote them in.
But that's what I'm saying. That'd be just because you have a plan and you present it to someone, even if you present it to the council, everybody on the council has to like your plan for it to be pushed.
But that's not what I said.
I'm just making a response. That was a response to
getting your voice heard.
No, that was a response to getting that proposition even heard. That was a response to even getting it heard. If they read your plan and they don't like it, your plan is going to fail anyway. You see what I'm saying?
So, and that's my whole point, because it's going still to one person's hands. One person's hands.
No, it's not.
No, I was saying that even if you presented it to the council, the whole entire, it has to be a majority of people that like your plan for it to get passed. So they have to see the people that are behind you, not just Susie Q, or I'm not saying that everyday citizens don't matter, but you have to get.
And they shut it down. And that's my concern.
But that doesn't mean you don't stop, though. You don't stop just because your one idea didn't get passed.
So you just can't keep showing up.
Stopping.
Or compromise. I mean, that's the whole point of politics.
I am telling you, this is how things, and I'm speaking from the perspective of watching things happen in the educational side and the art side, mainly in the art side. I've been to a lot of the meetings where people grassroots got together and decided this is what we're going to do. And this is the power that we need. But and if you're coming from a neighborhood perspective, you got to get the businesses in that neighborhood, because that pulls, the business owners have more pulls than the actual residents sometimes have. Sometimes you got to get the resident, the associations, other people outside of that community that believe in that are going to be the
you basically said you have to build a coalition. You have to build a coalition.
Right. But you can't. Right. You have to. It's not going to be just you on a bullhorn screaming out what my problem is and I need you to pay attention.
Right. That's what the Black Caucus
and all this people show up to that. They're not going to listen to you. But I've seen somebody take that one person and call this news outlet and call this news outlet. And if the story is juicy enough, they'll show up. And that one person got things accomplished. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we can't keep relying on our government officials that are currently in office to do the things. So until the next election season comes, we have to then rally together and get these things done together as a unit. Not you having your own plan and your own strategy and not want other people to touch it or see it or join you and thinking that that's going to get things done, because that's a surefire way for nothing to happen. And I understand your frustration. I really do. Because I was like that when I first started really participating in it like this. Go ahead.
I still think it's just going to consistently take more than just voting. And that's my whole point.
Do you agree that that's one step? Do you agree that that's one step that is necessary? It's not the only step.
I mean, because when you vote on the plan that they present to you. That's the only what you're voting on. It's only you're voting on what the plan they present to you. Yeah, but the plan
that they're voting to you, it's still you. It's still a part of your community, not you as an individual, but you and your community.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Your vote only matters on that particular plan that they're presenting to you at that time. It's not about what you want in the future. You're deciding on what the plan is that they presented to you now.
But if you are doing your due diligence, your plan has already met them. You've already met them. You don't wait until election day to meet your candidates.
Right. Exactly.
So they're having these town hall meetings. So you got to be present. You and your team have to be present. When they ask for who got any questions, you stand up and you present your ballot.
Exactly.
And then you mail them. And then you say, you can't just complain and be mad when stuff don't happen. And I agree that voting is not the end all be all. But if they see us showing up, then they don't feel like they can steal and connive and con their way through their whatever their title is. When we don't show up, that shows them they're not paying attention. So I can sell these books in exchange for power and, prestige or whatever. And when we don't show up, they are knowing that we're not paying attention. And then we complain the whole time they're in office because they ain't listening to us. Well, you didn't show up. Just like if you're not a registered voter and you go to complain, one of the first things they do when you send them something that even remotely looks good, they gonna look and see when the last time you voted. How long have you been a registered voter? How many times have you showed up at the register and voted? They're gonna look at those things because if you're somebody who just out the blue, they're not gonna listen to you because you can't get them elected. You can't keep them in office. So they're not going to listen to you. So part of that makes me mad. But the other side of that, it makes sense. That why would I listen to you if you're not going to support me? If you just go make these arguments and, put a couple Facebook posts up and, rally for a couple seconds and not do anything, it's crazy. George said voting is not engagement. It's participation. Engagement is the only way to really ensure true change. You have to show up regularly in your own way again and again and again and again, and not just on election day. Because many people do that, and I value those people who show up on election day. All these people that's been standing in these early voting lines, I appreciate that. That's part of your civic duty. But then on November the 4th, you got to be paying attention to what's going on then too. You can't just leave it on November the 3rd.
I think it's going to take a bigger agenda. Back to what you said, I believe voting is actually I believe voting is probably about 45% of what needs to possibly happen.
I can agree with that.
I don't believe it's the major part of what needs to transpire. We need a
but look at it what our individual, but look at what our individual responsibility is. And whatever the percentage is, where voting falls, but just as long as we can all agree that voting is a must. It's a must.
You know what's interesting though, with you saying that, with 45% is the voting portion of it, is that do you know, let me ask both of you, do you know anybody that has submitted a proposal to Biden or Trump?
To what?
Submitted a plan proposal to Biden or Trump?
No.
Because the reason why I asked that is because the plans that, Trump don't have no plans, but Biden's plans, the plans on his website, the plans on his website are a coalition of everybody across the nation that has submitted plans, and they built upon them. And then presented them on this website.
Like over 20 pages long.
It's over 20 pages long. And that's just one plan that's over 20 pages long. And that the racial and
I was referring to the racial.
Yeah, the racial injustice and equality plan is over 20 pages long. And that was a hodgepodge of a whole bunch of different proposals that came together, and they bullet pointed it into one plan. And the reason why I say that is because before today, now was the time to present any ideas that you had to the campaigns to include in their proposition.
Right.
No one, like I said, that's why I asked the question. Do you know anybody that has done it? Because I don't know anybody that did it either. But I did go read about it.
I know a lot of organizations that have been on his team.
Right. And
like
one of them was the
ALC,
the ACLU. They have presented a lot of stuff to him based off of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and all that kind of stuff for the racial injustice thing.
The Urban League has really stepped up because they've been working with him as well, and they have been dormant for, I'm not going to say dormant, but in terms of their voice, they haven't spoken up as much, just like the NAACP. But even the NAACP is now stepping up and really backing. And I don't know whether or not it's because of just one election or they just trying to get themselves back out there. But there are a number of grassroots organizations that have attached themselves to Biden, even in the last couple of months, because of just the total lack of concern. Because even if we deal with that one, the plan for Black America, that if you balance what Biden has planned versus what Trump, that one sheet that Biden has planned, Trump has for us, it's not the platinum plan that's only one page long. Like, it doesn't even make anybody specific or include any issues of real racial support and supporting us. But the reason I push so much for us to vote has been because I see a lot of people in my age group and younger who are refusing to get out there and vote, who feel like they don't have a voice, who don't even understand this change in the Electoral College now, because that used to be the excuse that they really didn't have a plan, or their vote didn't matter because somebody else was going to decide for us. Now that's over, and I think that is groundbreaking for this country, because we stick so, as a country, we always stick tight to what has happened. Can you hear me, Monty?
Yeah.
Oh, it got real quiet.
We were listening,
but I really appreciate. But I really just appreciate the push that we've had recently. But it's going to take more than people just voting. But voting
you know what is interesting though about this conversation, because this is the first time, and I'm glad Tonia is here, because we've never had this kind of conversation before. I've never heard this kind of conversation, like where people are asking, how do we do this process, and how do we get this done, and how do we get this presented? Because a lot of people don't know that you have to start from the bottom to get to the top. You have to. If you're going to try to get something presented to a council that don't know your plan and you haven't explained it to anybody, but you're trying to present it in front of a room full of people and think they're going to decide on something right then and there, you're never going to get anywhere. You do have to make a coalition. The coalition has to actually have somebody involved.
That's
my thing is, I hear a lot of people keep pushing, voting, and that's fine. It's not saying I have a thing with it. But I feel like we need a bigger agenda. I feel like we really have to go further than just every time election come around, everybody's yelling, vote, 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 vote. And that's great. But we don't have a full-on agenda where it's like, well, what do we need to accomplish? This is what we need to accomplish. How are we going to go about it? What are we going to do? What happens if they don't keep their promises? What happened if they, within the time frame they said they were going to do this doesn't happen? We don't have nothing like a full-on plan,
right? Because that would take organization. That would take organization, and no one's willing to do it. No one is willing to do it.
I don't want to disrespect the countless grassroots organizations out there that are doing.
Oh yeah, that's not what I mean. I mean, no one is willing to bring the plans together. Like, no one's reaching out to me. No one's reaching out to Nate. No one's doing that kind of reach out. I'm saying,
but the problem is. The work is being done. The issue is, and I don't hate Ice Cube, and I'm using him as an example. I don't hate Ice Cube or Steve Harvey or anybody who, as a Black person, brought plans to them. My problem is when you disregard the other people in your community. If there's a community here in Baltimore that has spoken with Biden, why don't we know about it? But that's the biggest problem. We can't be divided on this. But everybody wants their platinum plan to be the plan.
Can I tell you my
and they
only
don't want
issue?
Any input.
Can I tell you my only issue with the Ice Cube thing? My only issue with the Ice Cube thing is that it's too little, too late. Okay, because the election is next week. It's in 2 weeks, and you're trying to present a plan in the face of we've already voted. We've already started voting. This goes back to the Supreme Court thing as well. We've already started voting. I voted in the beginning, at the end of September, and you're now talking about you're going to vote for a Supreme Court justice. Same thing goes for his plan. It's not too little and too late. I want to take off the late thing, because now I just think his plan should have been presented to whoever wins. Because at this time, say for instance, because the only reason why Trump jumped on that plan was to steal votes.
Yeah.
Because he presented a plan for black people. Oh, I'm going to jump on Ice Cube's back, on his back, because he's talking about black people, and that might take black votes away from the person that they really are choosing. That they have already chosen.
Of course.
That's why I say it wasn't time to do that, because that's like a disruption in the process.
Politics are a chess game.
So, I agree. I just think it was too late. Like it was no way for me to say, for instance, me, I can't change my mind now. I've already voted. Why would you do that to me? That's not fair to me. That's not fair to me being a black person.
My issue with this was the timing that it came out. I do have a problem with it, because all the time, all this summer long, all throughout this pandemic, we should have been having this conversation. So like you said, so when we go to the ballot box, we have a stronger message to then vote on. But at the same time, we can't fault Biden for saying, well, I'm willing to let you listen to it. We can attach this to our website, but hey, it's nothing that I really can do with this until I win.
Because that's exactly what Trump. Just to throw that in there, that's exactly what Trump did. As soon as he was like, "Oh, I heard his plan and we liked it and we're going to use it," he threw it right on his website. Now it's his plan. That's not okay.
Yeah, but if you look at that one page that he has for particular this issue, there are things that overlap, but the things that overlap are just general wording. But it's nothing about the plan that
but just like the reason why I said that though,
part of his plan.
The reason why I said that though is just like his last plan in 2016, most of that shit never got accomplished.
Sure.
Yeah.
So why would we think anything different? Why would we think anything different of this new plan? Most of his plans don't even exist.
Why did it take you 4 years? Why did it take you 4 years? And that's and I'm not so heavy. Well, I am. I'm not even gonna lie. All this stuff is BS to me, because you're not going to make all these plans weeks before the election, and you've had 4 years to do this.
Well, one reason why I know I vote the way I vote is because I have a pre-existing condition, and if they vote down, the Supreme Court votes down the Affordable Care Act, I could lose my insurance.
I need both of y'all I need both of y'all to watch that 60-minute interview, and it's very telling as to if this is the issue on Medicare. The lady kept saying, but all these people, millions of people are going to lose their coverage if you get rid of Obamacare.
Right.
How about you just adapt your plan to Obamacare so people aren't going to be lost? And he kept saying, I have a plan. She said, but what is the plan? Well, I have a plan. And he just kept saying that.
Yep.
Not one. She said, well, let me pick this one issue, the pre-existing. She kept harping on the pre-existing condition. And he said, well, they're going to be covered just like they're covered right now. Yeah, but it's going to be a gap of time. If they are going to be covered, it's going to be a gap of time where people are not covered. And these damn medical plans are going to have a bigger problem on their hands, because now all these people are going to be back in the emergency room. Whereas though now,
not only that,
people
but
don't
something
have
to be done about the fluctuation and dealing with these healthcare plans because it's already a little space where if you make a certain, and it ain't even that much, amount of money. You still get a subsidized. You can still get a subsidized healthcare plan, but it's so much fluctuation in percentages dealing with healthcare. So something needs to be done about those fluctuations. Hit that.
But those fluctuations have come. Those fluctuations have come as a result of Trump fighting it and taking down bits. Like, it's no longer mandated that you have health insurance. And I thought that was a very key point in this Obama plan, because the problem was everybody. That's why I can go to Mercy Hospital in the emergency room and get out so fast.
Right.
Because most of the people aren't going to Mercy Hospital as a primary care provider in the emergency room. And I don't think he's looking, because he has top-notch and has had probably top-notch health insurance his whole life. So he doesn't have to go to get primary care at the emergency room.
I think a lot of people that make over a certain amount of money don't pay attention to what buying health insurance really is, because they can do it and not missing that money.
But a lot of them know what it felt like to have subpar insurance and no insurance at some point. Many of them know what that feels like.
Look how many of them make money and don't care no more. Like, I can honestly say,
that's my point.
I've seen.
Go ahead, say it. Go ahead and say it.
Well, I would
had nothing and grew up in the trenches, and now they make a certain amount of money, and they act like they never knew they was there, or they don't.
Well, see, I would be one of those people. One of those people that you're talking about right now. I would have been one of those people, because I don't pay for my own insurance. My insurance is 100% paid through my employer. So why would I care about anybody else's insurance? But I do. But the difference in me and those other people is that I do, because you going to the doctors makes my premium shorter, less. It will cost less to my job, because if you're healthy, we all are healthy. Then there's less people going to the doctors, and less people having to get medicine, and less people that are critically that need the care can now have that percentage that you were taking up at first.
Right.
And that would help you pay your premiums down less. And that's the reason why what you were saying with the fluctuation in the premiums, the reason why those premiums are up is because the mandate is gone. The mandate allowed for people to buy insurance that would pay into the pot, that would keep premiums low and keep your deductible coming down instead of going back up. Because what's happening now is that people's plans, their deductibles are now increasing again. Now you're back at a $10,000 deductible, a $10,000 family plan, and that you can't afford to pay. Because you got to pay all of that before you even get the benefits of your plan.
I do remember when he did come out with the Affordable Care Act, and when he did put those laws and stipulations and bylaws in there to keep them from overpricing people.
From overpricing the plans, exactly.
The plans, and which is crazy to me, because what I don't understand is how so many countries that we consider less fortunate has free health care.
Exactly. I mean, that is a great point.
And we don't.
They found a way to do it, and we can't. For some reason, we can't find a way to do it.
We've turned it into a profit, and they have it as a living, like this, a living expenditure for the government. Like, this is the cost of living. Here, you get free health care. Like, it's not a business. Doctors' offices have been turned into a business.
But you also got to look at it this way too, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into that makes their plans a lot better than what we have. Because a lot of them, like the prime ministers over there, don't have their term limits a little bit longer, so they get a lot of time to do stuff. They don't have to worry about a Congress actually being bipartisan and all that kind of stuff, because it's not about a lot of parties over there, except for in England. But they got a lot of small
and Canada.
And that's same kind of system.
That's still England.
But then Boston has universal health care.
Exactly. And that's a great example. That is a great example, because that was Mitt Romney's plan that they got. And it's just a lot of things that should happen. And that took a lot of support from the whole entire community of Boston to get that done. But that was a coalition. They got a coalition to get that done. And I don't know, and you're right, I don't understand. The other part of why premiums have not come down is because certain states did not join the Medicare expansion to bring down premiums.
And we have that thing with healthcare. I feel like America is overworked.
Yes.
We have
yes, indeed.
some of the longest work hours.
Yes, indeed.
Shorter lunch breaks. Shorter.
They don't do no work. I'm about to snitch on him.
Sometimes it be like that.
Wait till they get my letter. Wait till they get my letter.
Shorter breaks, very unhealthy situations all the way around. And so they try to
bail out the businesses before the employee. Like right now in Maryland, they're tapping into our rainy day fund to give to businesses that many of us have been keeping afloat this whole time. Versus, what about all these people who are still out of work? How about putting that $250 million rather into the people that are unemployed, the families, the healthcare workers?
How this is happening with these businesses, and then the businesses that are getting the money. That's more of my concern than anything.
Well, you know the businesses that got the money, because many of them either never open back up because they somewhere enjoying that money, or they closed down and now they are revamping and rebuilding and expanding.
It's a whole nother bailout, but it's on a bigger extent. This is a bailout on a bigger plane. And
in terms
it's
of
the same thing with the bigger businesses getting their money still shutting down. The same thing happened in Detroit with a lot of those, motor companies and stuff. And we never got, they were loans and they still ain't paid back none of their money. Those people that shut down went about their business, and it's happening again. Yeah. But more on the bigger field of not just the ones that were big factories. Now we just have it all across the board where these major companies are taking money and doing what they want, and then they don't even need it out of them.
And then many of us are then being blasted on TV when I'm not gonna say we, because I ain't fraud none of the government's money. I ain't get none of it. But we're gonna wrap up. Thank you, Tonia. And just as just wrapping up, voting is very important, but we still need a plan, and we still need support, and we still need to be unified.
Yeah.
Just to wrap the conversation up. And we were saying the same thing, but I just added that voting makes it, if you're gonna live in this country, be a part of this country. Don't live off the grid. Don't do that. That's disrespectful to you to have to do that.
Ding, 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 ding. If you're gonna live here, be a part.
Yes, be a part of it.
Then, because then we get people like those that want to complain about not the process and don't want to and haven't did anything.
Like the person who just wrote rap on my comment section and then started talking to me because I was trying to.
You're right, but I had to say amen. All right, rap.
Well, we got an amen out of Marnie. I think that's reason to applaud, or let's end this. Let's end it before he take it back. So this has been another edition of the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Look for us every Monday and Friday at 5 p.m. I almost forgot. And don't forget, up next is the Cocktail Social with Blue Waters and his socialites. Thank you, Tonia.
You're more than welcome.
Up yet. I have a question for you, but I need to call you.
Okay. You have a number?